Welcome back to G-Town Studio. Today I want to talk to you about a musical style that's common in today's worship music, and it may seem like a simple concept, but actually it's pretty difficult to pull off consistently. And what I'm talking about is bass drum driven builds. And this is where the bass drum is the focus, the drive. It's the glue that's holding everything together during a bridge or an instrumental or possibly a whole song leading to a final chorus or release. I like to think of it as an implied 4 on the floor. Implied because you're not always playing a true 4 on the floor. You'll start off with maybe 1 beat per measure, and then maybe it doubles up to 2 beats per measure, and then you might settle in on a 4 on the floor, but then it takes off to maybe all 8th notes on the bass drum. And meanwhile, you've got to keep that energy and flow going with cymbal swells and a tom groove and some snare hits as you're building that, and not let it affect your bass drum groove as it's going through this section. If the bass drum falls apart, it all falls apart. So it takes a ton of patience and independence. Patience because if you build too fast too soon, you have nowhere to go. And independence because you've got to be able to play that tom groove and cymbal swells and snare hits, whether you're doing 1 beat on the bass drum per measure, or 2 beats, or 4 on the floor, or all 8th notes, and not let that feeling, that groove, that build be affected anyway. So let me show you on a popular worship song section of how that bass drum relationship with your tom groove and your cymbal swells and your snare hits works together, and that it all comes down to how your bass drum keeps that groove. So watch this and then we'll talk about it later. Even though that was in 6/8, you'll find that the build is similar in other time signatures such as 4/4. And one thing that I found that really glues everything together is take that measure before the next section. So if you're going from 4 on the floor to a doubled up pattern, maybe on 8th notes, take that measure before and already start doubling up your bass drum. That kind of glues one section to the other and makes it more seamless, makes the timing feel better and more natural. If you listen back to the video, you'll notice that I did that every time the bass drum was going to double up. The measure before, I was already starting the doubled up pattern. To improve your feel, your groove, your timing and all this, come up with a tom pattern and start working on playing that tom pattern while you change your bass drum underneath it. So going from 1 beat per measure to 2 beats per measure to 4 on the floor and doubling up, and keep that feel, that groove going. You'll find that certain patterns are easier to do than others, so work on those ones that give you grief. Let me know if this video helped you, as well if you have had any musical challenges lately that you've had to work through the groove and what you did to solve that. Thanks for watching.